Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for the Financial Coach Master Training Informational Webinar. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm the Senior Director of Financial Coaching here at Ramsey Solutions, and I'm excited to be with you here today talking about Financial Coach Master Training, talking about coaching, talking about you becoming a coach. And listen, coaching is not for everyone. I'm completely aware of that. But today I'm going to talk about what coaching looks like. I'm going to talk what it looks like to coach people. I'm going to talk about the mental hurdles of coaching people, specifically on their personal finances. And I'm going to talk about Financial Coach Master Training. That's the training that we offer that helps people become financial coaches. And yes, we had over, almost 10,000 people registered for this webinar today. So listen, there are going to be some folks that are trying to get in that cannot get in today, and it's okay. That's the way it works. So we have a really, really packed house today learning about coach training. And so guys, I cannot wait to be able to tackle those mental hurdles with you. So let me just go through this real quick on what we're going to do today. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of those mental hurdles that kind of prohibit folks from helping people. From helping people with financial coaching. It's the mental hurdles that coaches struggle with. It's the mental blocks, what that looks like. I'm going to talk about the training. I'm going to talk about what we cover in the training, how the training helps you overcome those mental hurdles. And then we're also going to do a live Q&A. We're going to go for as long as we need to go today. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can today. And then once we wrap up that live Q&A, I'm going to give away 2 enrollments to the training that I'm talking about today. So one more time, I'm going to talk about the mental hurdles, kind of what breaks things down, what break people down when they're trying to coach people. We're going to talk about the training. We're going to do a live Q&A, and I see some of you folks already starting to raise your hand. Listen, we're going to have a ton of people asking questions. So if I can't get to all your questions, Ashton, Ben, and Brad on my team will be following up after this webinar to answer questions one-on-one. So if I don't get to you, it's okay. We have a way to get those questions answered. We'll have a lot of folks that will listen to the recording later on this afternoon as well. We'll have it available for a limited time so you can watch it and listen to it again should you choose to do that, okay? All right, so let me just go ahead and say this. I said it a second ago, coaching is not for everyone. It's not for everyone, okay? Being a coach is not for everyone. I can't tell you how many times someone will ask me, Chris, how do I know if I want to be a coach? How do I know if I'll be good as a coach? All those things, and I love it. And here's the thing. Number one, you have to have a passion to help people with their personal finances. Now, it's not like a passion like you would lead Financial Peace University, which is like the class that Dave Ramsey offers. That's one level of passion. Coaching is more one-to-one or one to a couple or a couple to a couple, dealing with their emotional, psychological, relational aspects of money. You see, the way that you talk about something is the way you see something, is what drives your actions, is why you receive the results that you get. Now, a lot of people who think they're coaching people, they deal with, well, look at your actions. Your math is wrong. Your budget's wrong. You're not following the baby steps wrong. And they're not dealing with the way someone's talking, and they're not dealing the way they see things. And that's why coaches get down to the bottom layer of that. Now, if you're looking at that, you're listening, you're going, ooh, I don't know if I like that. There's an indicator. Coaching may not be right for you. Now, listen, we have coaches from every kind of background you could possibly imagine. I've had coaches that have filed bankruptcy. As a matter of fact, the very first coach ever from our organization, Dave Ramsey, filed bankruptcy. We've had coaches that are still in debt that coach people. Well, Chris, you can't be a coach and be in debt. That's hypocritical. No, being a hypocrite is telling someone to do something that you won't do yourself. Now think about that for a second. You won't do something yourself, but you want someone else. If you're paying off debt, you can be a coach because now you're sharing somebody with what you're doing. As a matter of fact, Dave Ramsey was coaching people fresh out of bankruptcy. Think about that for a second. So guys, that is something that you need to think about right there. So I want to cover these things for you today. We're going to talk about how broke people pay for coaching. We're going to talk about coaching as a business. We're going to talk about the mindset of a coach as well. And I promise you during the Q&A, one of the things that I want you to listen for is we're actually going to coach in that Q&A. Very seldom do you answer a question with a question. I said it backwards. You don't answer a question with an answer. You answer it with a question. That's the key right there, because there's always a question behind the question. And, that feels rude, Chris. I don't know. No, no, no. I promise you that people, their first question is always kind of hidden. There's always something else behind it. And that's not being malicious that they're doing that. It's just that it's the way we communicate. Very few people can come out and just ask exactly what they want. They'll say it in a different way, and they're trying to be nice about it. And that's sometimes why people get hung up as well. Okay. So let's talk about, and guys, I posted back in the chat box there a couple times just about, hey, the format of the webinar, et cetera. So let me say this. Here's the first thing, and this is what I love about Ralph Waldo Emerson. He talking about coaching right here. Our chief want is someone who will inspire us to be what we know we could be. Say that one more time. Our chief want is someone who can inspire us to be what we know we could be. You see, again, coaching is not about giving someone an answer. Well, I coach my friends and my family. Many times I see that that's unsolicited advice, right? Well, I can answer what Dave says before he says it on the radio. That's answering your question. That's regurgitating something he said before. That's not coaching. When you're sitting in front of Bob and Cindy and they're pouring their life out, and you have to go, okay, let's start building a plan from point A to point Z. Let's start looking at it. Why do you believe that? I heard you say this. Tell me more about that. Leaning in, that's starting to become coaching. Well, Chris, I've done a budget for somebody. It's not coaching. Budgeting is one of the things, but if there's 5 things to do, budgeting is like number 5 for somebody when you're trying to help them create new behavior when it comes to their personal finances. Think about this, guys. The human chief want is someone who inspired them to be what they know they could be. They're looking for insight. They're not looking for answers. Google has that market cornered. If they need information, they can go to Google. I've even had people say, well, Chris, why would someone work with a coach when they could just go take Dave Ramsey's program? Sure. I've worked with a lot of people and coached a lot of people over my 12 years with Dave Ramsey that have taken Dave Ramsey's program. Doesn't mean it's not effective. It just means for them, they need more potent direction. They need one-on-one advice, because most of us, if you're like me, you can justify almost any kind of action. You can say, well, I'm different. Dave has 3 kids. I have 2. That's why budgeting doesn't work. And as funny as that sounds, I've really had that said back to me before. And so, guys, that's what coaching is all about. And this quote really personifies what that looks like. It's the chief desire for someone who inspired them to be what they know they could be. I want to be debt-free. Why do you want to be debt-free? Not, here's your plan. Because here's the deal. There's plans everywhere. They're not doing it, and they don't need your permission to do it. They need someone to inspire them to walk through that and give them insights and unlocks and those mental hurdles that I was talking about. And this is a biggie right here. Is there a need for financial coaching? Now, it's kind of rhetorical, but 39% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency. Now, guys, if you're in any world where I live, $400 goes away like that. I mean, if you got to replace a washer and dryer, a dishwasher, or a new set of tires, all those things that are man-made that can break down instantaneously at any moment, and $400 can be sopped up in no time. So what do people do? Well, they put it on a credit card at 25% interest, or they go to a payday loan location. Now, Chris, people don't go to payday loan locations for stuff like that. Sure they do. Let me give you an example. Here in Williamson County, Tennessee, where Ramsey Solutions is located, it's the 7th wealthiest county in the entire nation. Now, I can talk about it that way because I don't live here. The 7th wealthiest county in the entire nation. We have 7 payday loan locations in this town. What's it like where you live? And why do those places exist? And how do they charge 100, 200, 300, 400% interest? Because people, when they get into one of those situations, they need a way out. Now, let me go ahead and squash a thought right out of the gates. Well, Chris, that's right. Income is the problem. People don't have enough income. That's why they've got it. They don't have any other options. No. You see, the average income in America is still about $66,000. That's average. If you get 2 people working in the home, it even goes up even more. Most people don't prioritize their income the right way. And so they'll spend it on a litany of other things. And so that when life happens, they're not ready. Well, guess what? There's people out there that are ready for them. And that's how the cycle starts. No one gets a credit card and screams, I want to go into debt. I cannot wait. They get one and they put it in the top drawer and they say it's only for emergencies. They always look at a payday loan location. I'll never go there until they do. And then there you go. So guys, yes, the need is very, very massive because those folks are being taken advantage of by those two groups I just told you. At least coaching is a way that somebody can break that cycle, break that behavior, and start living the right way with their finances. Now, here's the biggie. And this is probably the number one question, number one mental hurdle that I get from all new coaches, every new coach that's out there, and sometimes even tenured coaches. Where do I find clients? How can I find people that would want coaching? Well, my friends, they're not Easter eggs. You don't find them. You actually create them. I'm going to actually have them correct that slide. It's you create clients in conversation. Well, Chris, I'm an introvert. Well, so am I. I'm a massive introvert. You can put me on a stage. I can also go hide in a bathroom, but please do not put me in the middle of 200 random people that I have to make small talk with. I would like shrivel up and die. That's how much introvert I am. I don't even want to do it with this company. When I'm here and we're hanging out, I don't want to be a part of it. It's just not who I am. I'm an introvert, but yet I can have coaching clients because an introvert will actually look at somebody and say, I want to go deep with you. And then they may only do it with 5 or 10 people at a time at most, but they're not going to talk to 500 people and then go down that way. And so guys, that's what that looks like. So how do you create clients? Well, first let's talk about the facts, and facts never care about feelings. Well, I don't feel like anybody here would want help. I can't do that. What are the facts? 78% of people in America today live paycheck to paycheck. Now, what does that really mean? That means if a pandemic hits, who would have thought that this time last year? That means if a job loss happens, that means if a GM goes on strike or the government shuts down, or I can go on and on and on. Just regular life, just things that happen. 78% of people are on the knife's edge financially. Now, I want to go back to the previous slide. It's not an income problem. It means that those things can happen just like your washer and dryer can break down. It's just, are you ready? Do you even think that those things could even begin to happen? Because it does. It happens to everybody. It's very normal. And here's the thing. 78% represents 255 million people in America live paycheck to paycheck. Monica says, hey, that means 78% aren't budgeting correctly. Here's the thing I would say about that, Monica. Yes, but most people don't even talk about money. Actually, they do. You'll hear them say, I can't go on vacation this year. And they'll say, well, I can't ever make enough money to feel comfortable. I can't ever get ahead. I can't. The way you talk is the way you perceive the world, is what drives your actions, and then what results you get. Ron says, hey, could you define living paycheck to paycheck? Sure. If you miss one paycheck, Ron, life gets real quick. Meaning, if you miss the 15th, you get paid on the 15th. If the 15th didn't happen, you would be on the brink of losing your house. You'd not be able to go get groceries. You don't have money in the bank. You have no buffer between you and life. You have no margin for a missed check. That's what paycheck to paycheck means. So we're talking about that because some people say, well, how in the world do I find people? How do I do that? Well, let me say this to you. Here's how you create clients in conversation. So pre the pandemic, I'm on a plane ride back from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, I told you a second ago, I'm an introvert. I don't want to, I don't like talking to people. So I get the tray table down, headphones in, and I'm good, right? And we're coming into Nashville, and it's myself, a young lady, and my buddy from work sitting on the other side of her. And we're coming into Nashville. I have to take out everything. I have to put my tray table up. And she naturally says, hey, do you live in Nashville? And I was like, yeah, I do. She said, great. What do you do in Nashville? And I said, I help people get out of debt. That's what I do. She goes, oh my gosh. She's like, I need somebody like that. And I was like, oh, really? Why? She said, well, I go to Vanderbilt University and I'm going to become a doctor and I'm graduating, and my fiance a few rows back. Yeah, I'm the jerk that doesn't get up and move. He's a couple rows back. We're both about to graduate in a couple weeks with $250,000 worth of student loan debt each. each. That means $500,000 in student loan debt, okay, before they even get into marriage. She goes on to explain. I said, well, tell me how that feels and what are you doing about it? And we're talking back and forth. And eventually the plane's coming up to the taxiway there. And I just said, hey, after I've asked why 5 times, because coaches don't give answers, they ask a ton of good questions so that they can learn more. You don't answer questions. That's not what she needed. I needed to fully understand her. And then she looked at me and she said, do you think you could even help somebody like me? And I said, yeah. I said, would you like some help with that? She said, absolutely. So guys, it wasn't weird. People do talk about their money to the tune of $500,000. Extroverts do create clients and conversations. And it wasn't weird and salesy. I didn't go like, hey, let me give you my number. Let me give you this link to pay me right now. I just said, great, let's set up a time to talk. Plus, I also wanted to know, maybe she didn't want any help with that. That's why I said, would you like some help with that? Because maybe she didn't. And then there we go. And guys, that happens all the time. That's the way you do it. It's not weird. It's not salesy. People are talking about their money problems all over the place. Do you have your ears on? Are you listening for it? We can't go on vacation this year. Oh my gosh, I got to replace my car. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. It's happening all around you. So when somebody looks at me and they say, well, I don't know how to find somebody. I don't even know what that looks like. Or do people even need my help? I'm like, let's walk outside. And I want you to tell me, where is air? It's literally all around you. It's the same premise. And so that's what that looks like. So that statement again, where can I create coaching clients? And that's in conversation. This is a biggie right here, folks. And I love this one because this one really gets to the core of every person who's thinking about becoming a coach, because they really experience one of two things. They feel guilty. How in the world, if someone's broke, could they pay for that? That makes no sense at all, Chris. They're hurting financially. How in the world can they pay for coaching? It doesn't make sense. So there's a guilt there. The other side about it is that they believe that everyone is broke. But really what they're saying is everyone's poor. No one can afford anything. And so what we do is we take our feelings, our thoughts, and we say the whole world is as I feel and think it is. Our whole town is like, no one here could afford that. No one. Really? Anytime someone says can't, should, no one, everyone, it's usually a victim mentality statement. Because they're looking at everything saying, I know everything. And it's just not true. So how do broke people pay for coaching? And guys, when I first started with Dave Ramsey, I sold coaching in the Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, Southeast, all over. And this was true every single time. The average cable bill in America today, even you cable cutters like myself, is $217.42. Well, Chris, I don't have cable anymore. I know. You're like me. You got 14 subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, YouTube TV, Spotify. We got them all now, right? And it's almost back to that. Guys, I want you to think about that for a second. If you watch television at $200 a month for a decade, you spent $20,000 to watch TV in a decade. If you do it for 2 decades, 40 grand. $40,000 to know who in the world won the basketball game, who got the rose on Monday night, who got voted off the island on Thursday night, or pick your show. And that's normal. By the way, I've seen them higher than that. And the other side of that is that when you're stressed out and you're anxious and your marriage is on the rocks, you have no plan for that junior in your household to go to college outside of taking out a student loan. Why in the world would it not be worth not watching TV to get your life in order? Now, you don't have to. I'm not saying you don't have to. But when someone would look at me and they'd say, Chris, I can't afford coaching. I'd say, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll take a look at your budget. We'll do a complimentary session. If I can't find my fee in your budget, I'll coach you for free. Very first thing I'll look at, cable bill. I'm like, hey, dude, right here, we can just cut this off for 6 months, not forever, 6 months. Coach with me, we'll get you on the right path and you can go sign back up. Keywords, folks. Now hang on a second. I don't want to do that. I don't want to cut off my cable. What you've done is you've removed someone from a victim statement of I can't to I don't want to do that. The minute someone goes into that world and they say, I don't want that, they've taken ownership. They've removed themselves from being a victim and they go into owner mode and they say, I'm not doing that. Now, here's the unique part. The next time they feel the pain from their choices, they go, I am no longer saying, I'm no longer the victim here. I now am saying, I want this pain. Give me some more. And it's okay. I can live with someone else making a decision. I can live with someone saying, I don't want that. Good. That's why I don't like being salesy. I like saying, oh, great. Don't do it then. It's great. But when someone says they can't, then we deal with this. Going out to eat. My good friend Chris Hogan wrote a book called Everyday Millionaires. It's the largest study of millionaires ever in U.S. history, 10,000 millionaires. It said the non-millionaires, the people that don't have $1 million net worth, the non-millionaires spend $283 a month on going out to eat. Guys, you can eat at home. I eat at home all the time. $283 a month. Now, let's just pause for a second. Let's just put those two together. Now you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $6,000 a year that people that are broke, because broke's not poor. Broke is I have money, I just don't allocate it the right places. $5,000 to $6,000 a year. The average coach that we work with and stuff like that, the average charges $150 to $250 per session. Let me say it again. The average coach that we work with usually charges $150 to $250 per session. That's a 1 hour meeting. Both of those come in under that number. Maybe the cable's a little different, but there you go. The 150 mark, they both come in. So guys, I'm not even going to get into extracurricular activities because you can say, well, it's a pandemic. No one goes to cheerleading anymore. But here's the thing. That's how broke people pay for coaching. Now, I want to talk quickly about the guilt. Well, Chris, I feel guilty charging. Here's the thing. Do you feel guilty that for the next 10 years, they're going to watch TV and spend 20 grand? Does that do anything to you? Does that make you go, oh my gosh, like, well, that's not good either. And you can always choose to gift your coaching. Gift it. You can choose that, but you can't have this weird dichotomy of going, well, I want to make money at it, but I don't want to charge people. You have to kind of reconcile those things. We deal with that a lot in the coaching training because that's a natural mental hurdle for folks to have there as well. Now, here's a biggie. What makes a financial coach different than really anybody else out there? Now, listen, I'm going to go ahead and tackle number 2 because I promise you there's a CPA on here and they always can get mad at me. So I want to go ahead and tackle it and get right at it. CPAs, they do a lot of things. Most people understand them for doing taxes, but they're not financial coaches. Let me say that one more time for my CPA friends on here. They do a lot of things. They're known for doing taxes by most people, but they're not financial coaching. They're not financial coaches. Financial advisors, they sell investments and insurance. Well, my financial advisor does coaching, Chris. Stop investing with them and they will stop coaching you. Don't have any investments with them. They won't coach you. Most financial advisors they are not compensated to, they do not want to, they don't do coaching. They sell investments and insurance. We need those folks. We need financial advisors. If I want to invest, I use a financial advisor. If I want my taxes done by a person, I go to a CPA. We need those folks. That's not bad. That's not a bad light of what I'm saying, but they're not financial coaches. Because a lot of people will say, well, okay, Chris, well, do I need a license to be a coach? No, because you're not selling investments and insurance. Well, Chris, what about taxes? I don't know. CPAs do that. That's not what a coach does. Coaches focus on your behavior with money. From the moment you get paid until the moment you run out of that last dollar, that's what a coach deals with. Oh, except for all the emotions, the relationships, and the psychology that plays into it. What do I mean by that? The emotions. You ever looked at your bank account and felt weird? It made you feel weird. It's usually an unhealthy way to do it, but that's what people do. What about your relationships? You see that your husband went out and spent $100 on golf and $50 on lunch. That bothers me. Or you see your wife went and did this, this, and this. And you look at the account and you're like, well, we didn't talk about that. Emotional, relational. And then we also talk about the psychological. Because I can sit here and look at a young lady who went and took a 401k loan out to get braces for a 12-year-old. I want you to think about that for a second. Why'd she do that? Mathematically, I can tell her all day long, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Opportunity lost, and you're hurting your retirement. What about the psychological aspect of that? You take a step back and she goes, well, what if she went through middle school and had crooked teeth and got made fun of, or maybe she didn't want her daughter to feel that way, or whatever. See, guys, that's how we make money decisions. This is not just talking about what Dave would say on air. This isn't just saying a baby step. This is actually looking at the way someone talks, the way someone sees the world, the way someone takes actions, and why they get the results that they get. That's the key right there. So coaches focus on that. Now, this is a biggie. I saw somebody, Melissa said, hey, can you be a coach and still be in debt? Yes, you can be a coach and be in debt. Chris, that sounds controversial. It's really not. A hypocrite tells you to do something that you won't do or are currently not doing yourself. If you're in debt and you are paying off debt, you can be a coach. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite coaches, his name is Justin. He's from Iowa. This year, in 2020, he helped his client base pay off $2 million. In 2019, he helped his client base pay off over $2 million. He also paid off his own debt over the last 2 years. So he helped his community pay off $4 million in 24 months, and he also paid off debt himself. Yes, you can be a coach and be in debt as long as you're working the plan yourself. Justin's one of the most fired up coaches I know. He was in debt. He's been a full-time coach for almost 6 years. Does amazing work. Guys, the background question really comes in from credibility. You see, most people, when they're thinking about becoming a coach, what they say is, why should someone listen to me? I'm not credible. I don't have a finance degree. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. Why would someone listen to me? Well, I just told you why. If you were a financial advisor, they wouldn't listen to you. Do you want to sell investments and insurance? Then that doesn't give you credibility with someone coaching. CPA, that doesn't give you credibility in coaching. Being in debt, I just talked about that. You can have more degrees than a thermometer and no one cares. I know that sounds harsh. I know that sounds counterintuitive. But I can promise you right now that no one at all cares that you went to school somewhere or that you have a degree in finance. And so I want you to think that, just take a step back for a second. What do people really care about? What do people care about? They care about two things. Number one, do you fully understand me? Pause, guys. I'm going to say it again. When you're thinking about working with someone and you're sitting down and you're thinking, will this person listen to me? How do I become credible to this person? The first thing they have to hear is, does this person understand me? And how do you do that? You don't talk. You don't tell them what Dave would say. You don't need to impress them with all your knowledge. You need to listen. Do you fully understand them? And then the second thing is, can you help them? Because here's the deal. I can sit down and fully understand you. And you say, well, Chris, what do you think I need to do with all my taxes? I can't help you. CPA can. An EA can't. Enrolled agent can. Not me. I'm a coach. Well, Chris, I'm really struggling with my budget. I'm struggling with my spouse. I have no plan for my future. I'm stressed out. I'm anxious. I'm having night sweats. I'm panicking. I'm in a job I hate. Surely to goodness, there's something more to this. I can help you with that. That's what a coach would look like. So again, you can have more degrees than a thermometer. Underneath your email signature can be a line item that long with more letters than the alphabet, and no one cares. Most people don't even know what those letters mean, but they will fully understand when you do, that you absolutely care and that you can help. And then I always ask, do you want some help with that? even if I get those questions answered. You want some help with that? Because they might still say no. And many times when they say no, they'll tell you why. They'll look at you and say, no, let me tell you why. And then you can keep the conversation going. Or, no, I don't want that. And then I say, okay, there's 300 million people. The death rate in America on rejection or someone telling you no is 0. It's 0. You won't die. I haven't died. I've been told no a lot. Matter of fact, I do a no challenge a lot with our new coaches. I say, please go get as many no's as you can. Please go get as many no's as you can right now. Here's what's funny. A lot of people come back to me and say, I hate your challenge. Somebody said, yes, I can't even get a no. It's like, you know why? Because you're actually trying now. You'll get out of your own way. So let me take the time for just a second and tell you what a successful coach does. If you're sitting here thinking right now, what does it take to be a successful coach? Chris, if you're telling me that background is not the answer, Chris, if you're sitting here telling me that broke people pay for coaching and that's fine, we talked about that, but what does it really take for a coach to be successful? Now, most people think it's biological determinism. Now, if you're like me, you're from Smyrna, Tennessee, a hillbilly, you don't know what that word means like me. I'm the same way. Biological determinism means this. It means you're born with it or you're not. You either have it or you don't. Well, coaching's not that way. You develop that skill set. You either develop a skill set or you don't. So here's the 3 ways to be successful as a financial coach. The first thing you have to do is listen really well. Listen extremely well. The second thing you have to do is ask really good questions. So you have to ask really good questions. You have to listen really well. And the third thing is you have to get out of your own way. Nothing removes the dignity of the other person that you want to serve more than you choosing for them. Looking like this. Well, they can't afford it. They can't afford it. So you never ask them. What you said is, I know better than they do. I'll never ask them. I won't give them the dignity of saying no. And what you're really doing is selfishly saying, I don't want to be told no. That's what really happens. So guys, here's the 3 again. You have to listen really well. You have to ask really great questions, and you have to get out of your own way. If you don't do those 3 things, you can't get enough degrees. You can't read enough books. You can't take enough courses. You can't, there's nothing you can do if you don't do those 3 things. And if you do those 3 things, all those other things start making more sense now. You read more books, get better. You can take a course, get better. You can have a coach in your life and get better. Nina, I'll say one more time. Listen really well, ask really great questions, and get out of your own way. That's the real key right there, folks. Now, let me talk to you about what you learn in Financial Coach Master Training. Now, everything I just talked about, that's the things that we cover with you in there, because we've got to break down those mental hurdles. But let me show you some of the lessons that we cover inside of Financial Coach Master Training. So we talk about the essentials of coaching. Like I said a second ago, people who give unsolicited advice and say, well, I help my friends and my family, but really they're giving unsolicited advice. How do I know that so well? I've been there. I've been ran out of my mother-in-law's house. Okay. I've been there. We talk about the Ramsey Solutions coaching process. Guys, we've been coaching people for 30 years. We've been coaching people for 30 years. We've been training financial coaches for 20 years. That's the process that we use. Now, listen, our methods have changed a little bit, but the principles have stayed the same. We get to the root of financial issues. Coaching is not about giving answers. It's about asking questions. Long and short-term coaching models, coaching different personalities. We talk about, when do you collect payment? When do you not? Lisa, you said, hey, just curious, how much do clients pay for coaching? Coaches on average charge between $150 to $250 per session. Say it again. Coaches on average charge $150 to $250 per session. A session usually is 1 hour in length, and usually there's a 30-day gap between those sessions. Now, a natural question that everybody asks, well, Chris, how many sessions do you have to have? How many sessions do each client get? If you went to your doctor and you said, well, how many times do you see your patients? He'd say, well, what's wrong with them? Well, it doesn't matter. Just tell me the average. He's like, dude, I deal with people with ear infections and life-altering diseases. There's no average. I deal with people, not cookie cutters. Same thing you'll do too. Sometimes you'll sit down with somebody and their life's in shambles and you'll need to meet with them for a full year. Sometimes you'll meet with a guy who makes $40 million a year and you just need to meet with him a couple times. Those are real. That's what happens. Coaching in crisis. How in the world do you coach in crisis? How do you help somebody that's dealing with massive student loans or bankruptcy or foreclosure or collectors? How do you help them understand what their options are without emotion? Now, a lot of people will ask a question. They'll say something like, well, Chris, how do I not get sued? Well, because coaches provide options, not go do this, buy this investment. Coaches say, here's 3 or 4 things you could look at doing. What do you think about those? That's why coaches don't get sued. They don't talk about investments and insurance and taxes. Now, they'll talk about those things from like an educational standpoint, but they don't sell those things. They don't recommend those things. They say, go check this out with a pro. Go check this out with that guy or this gal. And there you go. Launching your practice. Guys, this is where we talk about what do you charge? Where do you meet? It's a pandemic, Chris. We use Zoom just like we're on right now. Coffee shops are always a great place. How do you create clients? How do you build your network? How do you prospect? Jeb Blunt, who wrote the book Fanatical Prospecting, just did a massive lesson for us, lesson number 15. We also just did a lesson on story brand marketing by Donald Miller. He did the whole marketing thing for Ramsey Solutions. Fantastic. And then we also talk about messaging and marketing your practice, which is key. Angela says, hey, how much did you make on average last year? Here's how you will find out your number. How many coaching sessions will you do? And how much will you choose to charge? That will equal how much you will make. Doesn't matter what everybody else does. You have to choose your number. I know coaches that charge $1,000 a session, and I know coaches that charge $35 a session. I know coaches that only coach 20 hours a week. I know other coaches that coach 40 hours a week. Their number times the amount of hours equals how much they make. And that's how you do the same thing, Angela. Let's talk about this real quick. This is some cool stuff. So we have all these great lessons, quizzes, tests, development calls that we do as well. But here's the biggies. The launch plan. We include this in the program as well. And the launch plan is what you have to go do the first 30, 60, 90 days of completing the training. Now, what that means is like, don't go build a website. Don't go buy Facebook ads. Don't go buy marketing. You shouldn't spend money on any of those things. As a matter of fact, most people who get into that world right there, they'll say something like this: I'm getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. You ever known someone who said, I'm working on the business rather than in the business? That's a procrastination phrase of, I don't know, I'm scared to go do anything. So I'll make myself feel better by building my website right now. We really punch that in the mouth in the launch plan. Client creation series, it's 6 hours of content doing the number one thing that every new coach, just like yourself, is thinking about. How in the world do I create clients? Christy Wright's a part of that. Chris Hogan's a part of that. Our top Ramsey preferred coaches are a part of that. The full-time coaches, part-time coaches, by the way, I saw a question here. Do you have to do coaching part-time or full-time? No, you can do coaching part-time or full-time or even for ministry and choose not to charge. You can do any of those, which is perfectly fine. Here's the secret sauce though, and that's direct access to Dave Ramsey's senior financial coaches. Now, here's the deal about that. When you're walking through the program, there's 15 lessons, quizzes, tests, and everything like that you get to knock out. But we have 5 one-hour development calls with these coaches, with coaches just like you walking through the training with Lisa, Les, and Tim. Tim launched 2 full-time coaching practices before coming and joining our team. Les Nenow has been with the team since 1994. Lisa's been with the team since, for 17 years. They're the best coaches on the planet at what they do. You get to do live and interactive development calls with them. We do this thing called Real Talk webinars every 2 weeks where we're tackling all these mental hurdles we've been talking about. Every coaching form that we use in our coaching practice and all the resources we use in our coaching practice, we give to people who take our training. We want you to use them. Go use them and coach people. Launch your coaching practice. Do that. Go out and do it. Now, Once you complete the program, you earn the designation of a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. Once you complete the program, you earn the designation of a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. You get a really cool certificate and everything like that. So once you complete all the lessons, quizzes, tests, and development calls, you earn the designation of a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. Okay. Now, again, let me tell you how this is done. It's 1,000% self-paced. So you can walk through the program at your own pace. You don't have to do it right away. I saw somebody ask a question. If I was to sign up for the program, can I do it, 30 days from now? Yes. Your time starts when you activate. When you activate the program, your time starts, and you have a year full access. As a matter of fact, if you complete it in 90 days of activating, you get 2 additional years access given to you. So you can just keep going back through as we update lessons and things like that. That's plenty of time. So it's 15 online lessons, quizzes, group calls. It's 1,000% self-paced. The average person who takes our training works full time. Everybody works full time. I've had Homeland Security, FBI, Navy SEALs, professional athletes, stay-at-home moms. All those people are dangerous. Any kind of background you've seen, massively busy schedules, the average person completes it in 42 days, spending a couple hours a week. I'm going to say that again. Average person completes our training on average in 42 days. All of them work full-time, folks. You can do that in 42 days easy. If you are one of our CPA friends, we also offer CPEs as well. Okay. So that's what that looks like. Now, here's the deal. I'm about to roll into the Q&A in just a second. Then our giveaway will be right after the Q&A. Let me tell you what we're doing for folks that are wanting to be a part of the training. And we're going to have an email that's going to go out a little bit before we get into our Q&A. So here's the deal. We're going to send a detailed email out in a few hours with the recording of this and everything you need. You can also go look at the training on fcmtonline.com. That's fcmtonline.com. Okay. And the regular price of our training, so to take our training normally, is $19.95. That's the normal price of Financial Coach Master Training. But here's what we're doing to kind of kick off this year. And with 10,000 people, I'm kind of a little bit concerned about this, to be honest with you. But here it is. You can save $1,000. Guys, we just celebrated our 20th year, so we're celebrating that right now. So if you use promo code SAVE1000, and it's available for 500 enrollments to the training. I saw some of you guys asking about, like, is my area oversaturated? Guys, listed on Dave Ramsey's website, we have 930 people listed on Dave Ramsey's site nationwide. Okay. And so those are people that are ongoing with us, do ongoing development and training with us and stuff. And so that's what that looks like. We are nowhere near saturated. Most people who ask that, I always ask them, do you even know a financial coach? And they'll say, no. And I'm like, right. Do you know a CPA? Oh yeah. Do you know any financial advisors? Yeah. Do you know any real estate agents? I'm one. My whole household's one. We're all one. Financial coaches, never even heard of one. So there you go. So guys, Save 1,000 gives you $1,000 off Financial Coach Master Training. It's available for 500 enrollments only until Sunday, January 10th. Once January 10th comes over, we're still going to celebrate the month. We're going to give you $500 off, but through the 10th, we're going to give $1,000 off. It's the best deal that we've ran in 20 years as well. Somebody asked about a payment plan. We do not offer payment plans. We'd be the biggest phonies on the planet if we offer payment plans. So we don't want to do that. Save up for it. Come do it. Worst case is $19.95. You're able to get in on this. Great. Come do it. We'd love to have you be a part of that as well. As I mentioned, if you complete the training in 90 days, you get 2 additional years access just dropped into your account. But here's the thing. Most people complete it in 42 days. So it's double what the average person does that works full time, spending a couple hours a week. It's 1,000% self-paced. That's what it looks like. So guys, let's get into your questions. Okay. And then we're going to do our giveaway. We're going to do our giveaway, and I posted in the chat box the link there for you as well. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to click the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to call on your name. You will need to unmute yourself. It'll ask you, do you want to be unmuted? Click yes. We'll confirm we can hear each other, and we'll go. Dennis, you're the first person, my friend. I just unmuted you. What question do you have today, sir?
How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. I'm thirsty. How you doing?
I'm great. A quick question. Do you have to use Dave's system every dollar? you use your own system like spreadsheets or anything like that?
Well, you're coaching them, correct? You're coaching another person.
Correct.
And so you're welcome to use whatever you want. Every dollar's free, but if you have better success with your form that you want to create, that's great. We also have our coaching forms that you can use as well. The key is that the person use it. I sit down with Dave one time. We said, okay, what's the best method of budgeting? And he's like, the one you'll use. Yep. Same thing for you, Dennis, that you're coaching them. You're good. If they say, hey, what else could we use? A lot of times when somebody will ask me, what's the best app, Chris, that I can use for coaching? I mean, for budgeting, I'll say, well, tell me about how you budget right now. Well, I don't. I'm like, okay. You see, people that focus only on tools, Dennis, are the same people with Pelotons and Bowflexes in their bonus room right now with laundry hanging on. I want to get them to use stuff. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Let's see here. Pam, how are you today? What question do you have? Reminder, guys, when I call on your name, you got to click that unmute button and that will get you taken care of there as well. And yes, we are recording the session, so we will send out a recording of this as well. So if you want to go back and listen, you can do that as well. Let's see here. Nicholas, what question do you have today, sir? Oh, hang on a second. Nicholas, what question do you have? I just clicked on Pam too.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Hey, my question was, what is the average, I can't remember if you said this earlier or not, what's the average timeline a coach will stay coaching for a lifetime? I know you said they do anywhere from 20 to 40 hours. Yeah. From how long when a coach becomes a coach, they start first in their first client to they don't want to be doing it anymore. Do you have any kind of data like that?
Well, I think your question actually answers the question. When do they want to not do it anymore?
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, the way you define success is you're progressively moving towards your goal. The way you define failure, you're either one of two things: you die or quit.
Makes sense. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there you go. Good question. Let's see here. All right, Alyssa, what question did you have?
I need to find out if you have to have a business license.
Are you going to have a business?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But a business license, just to answer that question fully, like in where I'm from in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, it's $15.
Oh, okay.
They're very, very, you call your county clerk and say, hey, I want to get a business license. That's it. It's very simple.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good question. I had to clarify, y'all. I'm not going to, I want to make sure that she's going to have a business. I didn't want to say something that wasn't true. Sydney, what question do you have?
Hi, Chris. Can you hear me?
I can. What's going on?
Awesome. So I'm a 19-year-old female about to graduate automotive school. And I was just kind of curious as to, sorry, I'm actually in the shop right now. I was just kind of curious as to how do being so young getting into this, this is a huge jump for me. How being so young do I get people to trust me when giving them advice? Because I can imagine being much older, taking advice from a 19-year-old on your finances probably isn't your idea of getting financial help.
What's your second biggest investment in your life outside of your house? What do you pay the most for outside of your house?
My car, probably, or my education.
Well, your car, you just said it.
Well, I don't have a house, so my education or my car, yeah.
Yeah, it's your car. What did you say you do for a living?
I'm an automotive tech.
How do you get people to trust you with their second biggest investment?
Well, they don't really get an option when they bring it to the shop.
Well, sure, but what if they said, well, hang on a second, how old is she? What do you think about that?
That's true.
Yeah.
I get that.
Let me ask you a question. At what age will everyone listen to you, Sydney?
Never.
That's right. Your age, I remember there's a young lady that came to our training. This is 4 years ago now. She was 19 years old. The youngest person ever came to our training was 18. He just graduated high school, but she was 19. She coached 60 people in the first 90 days of leaving the program. And I was like, what happened? She's like, yeah. She goes, I know all kinds of people that need help. They're right around my age.
Yes, that's true. All the
Yeah.
college loans and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
But you don't have to do that. Let me ask you a question. Do you have any debt?
No,
How many 19-year-olds do you know that don't have debt?
not very many.
Right. It's kind of like a unicorn a little bit, huh?
Kind of.
Yeah. You see what you're looking for right there is your value. Your value, and why should they listen to you? And here's the reality. There's always going to be somebody who won't listen to you because of something. Right? There
Right.
always will be a reason why somebody won't listen to you. But there will be people who will. And here's what you do. You say, you don't want to work with me? I'm 19. I understand. You see,
Okay.
because what if that gentleman that you were just talking to in my scenario was 60 and had debt? He's lived 60 years and you've done it in a third of the time and you've gotten there.
Right.
So there you go. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question, by the way. Deborah, what question do you have today?
Hello, can you hear
Hey.
me?
I can.
Fantastic. I wanted to know if you could go through the lessons more than once.
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, when I said you have, you have a year access, most people complete it in that 42 days. You can keep going back through it. If you can do it inside of that 90 days, which everyone does, you get 3 full years. You can keep going back through. We just updated lesson 3 and we just added lesson number 15. So there's people that have been in there for 2 years that are getting new content for sure.
Okay, that's my only, and also on these lessons, do you have like little assignments?
Yeah.
To,
We use a learn, validate, and apply approach. So you learn, and then when you want to validate with quizzes and tests, and then what application like go do. So it's all 3 of those.
all right, well, thank you. That was my only question right now. And by the way, in regards to your other caller, I'm the 60-year-old who's lived in debt my whole life, and I would listen to a 19-year-old.
Well, there you go. Okay. That's fantastic.
That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay. Good statement there. Yeah. See, that's awesome. Peter said, hey, what is the yearly cost for the online portal? There is no, I mean, once you get in, you don't have to keep paying to come back in or anything like that. Kenya says she loves it, Deborah. Awesome. Mary Ellen, what question do you have today?
I just wanted to clarify a little bit. It sounds like it's a really good program, and I just wanted to make sure that I understood. It's basically giving you all the tools that you need, but then how you kind of apply it and the way you set up with your clients, that's up to you if you want to do individual coaching or group coaching,
Yeah.
or anything like that. Like that's all up to us. That's
correct. And I mean, and I think the thing on the group coaching, you generally don't do group coaching. You might have like a mastermind. You're generally going to be more topical in a group setting that leads to a one-to-one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to Eddie. Eddie, what you got today, sir?
Hi there, Chris.
Oh, okay. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for your lesson. It was very informative.
Of course.
I have 2 questions, actually. One is, are the lesson closed captions? Because a lot of times I can't have it vocal.
You can turn it on. You can turn it on.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then my other question is, I'm going to have a hard time charging people. How
I
do you
know.
advance it from a friendly conversation, asking questions, to saying, okay, I'm going to charge you?
Well, you don't do it that way.
I know.
Let me ask you a question. When's the last time that you went to your doctor's office and he had to make that weird transition?
I'm going to say a month ago.
Okay, but when did he make that weird transition to I'm going to charge you?
I just assume that they're going to charge me
Why?
because that's what doctors do.
Why don't financial coaches do that?
I understand that I would do that. I just wondered how you do that transition.
Well, it starts with the professionalism.
Okay.
It's professionalism, right? Again, if you go to your doctor, you're not like, he made it weird. He said that I'd have to pay him today. If you go to the grocery store and you pick up groceries, they don't make it weird and say, we have to pay for that today. It's just, yeah, this is what it looks like. You see, one of the challenges I see is new coaches and sometimes older coaches will, they'll talk about the concept of working with them to try to avoid that. And the concept looks like this. Here's how often we're going to meet. Here's how much it costs, all those things. The reality is you may not want to be coached. You may not want to coach me. So here's what I say. When somebody looks at me and says, well, Chris, how much does it cost? And I say, well, if you ever called a mechanic up and said, hey, I hear a weird noise in my car. How much does it cost to fix it? They'd be like,
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong. Well, they say, bring it to me. So when I sit down and listen to somebody, that moment, I'll say, hey, after we get done, I'll kind of give you what my recommendation looks like and how often we should meet and then what that could look like.
Okay.
And
Yes,
so
okay.
if
Thank
someone
you,
doesn't want to
Chris.
do that, I'm okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Crystal. Guys, we'll go about another 10 minutes here and we'll do our giveaway, by the way. Crystal, what you got?
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, just making sure. So hopefully this question makes sense, and I hope that you haven't already answered it. My whole setback right now, because I'm ready to get started, is when I sign up a client or I'm talking to the client, like what am I giving them as far as services? Are we learning? Oh gosh, I want to make sure I say this right. Are we learning how to create like course content or like what it is that we're providing to them on a weekly, monthly supportive basis? Like, am I saying that right?
Well, okay. So yes, you are saying it right. So let me give you some vernacular for that. Okay. So coaches do not walk through curriculum. The person that you're coaching is the curriculum. Now, that's not some weird new age thing. Here's the thing. If I'm sitting down with you and I'm like, Crystal, I'm going to walk you through just this curriculum, you'd be like, well, that's not coaching, Chris.
Right.
Right? I said, now, Crystal, what's going on with you? What's going on? What's your biggest pain point? What keeps you up at night? What are you afraid of? I can't put a curriculum together for that.
So I guess, are we taught where that starting point is? Because each person obviously is going to be a different case.
All right. You want
So are we taught where to start?
You want to experience it for a second?
Sure.
Okay. Crystal, why do you want to be a coach?
Because I want to help people get out of debt.
Okay. Why do you want to do that?
Because I'm literally living the experience of what it feels like to have control of your money.
Okay. And how do you know you want to do that for other people?
Because I am passionate about it. I wake up thinking about it. I think about it all day. I talk to people about it all the time. And literally, whenever I start talking about it, it's like I'm talking about my children.
How long have you been kind of working through this passion?
14 months.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Why 13? Why did you wait 14 full months? Why didn't you jump on it 2 months in?
Well, partly money reasons. I had to save up to even consider buying the course, but I think there was a part of me that was I'm not confident, because I'm fully confident. It's not knowing really how to get started.
Yeah, I got you. So when you say that you love working with other people, tell me about that.
Well, I'm a people person. I'm definitely an extrovert. I love seeing people, because I've done this in other aspects of my life, but I love seeing a person who is, how do I say? I don't know if lacking confidence is the right way to say it, but somebody who's like, okay, I'm in makeup industry too. And so sitting down with a client and teaching them how to care for their skin and put makeup on and watching the life come out of them is the same thing that I'm getting talking to friends about getting out of debt. And when they start their kind of process of getting out of debt, like they call me crying and,
What does
telling me
makeup
how much
really
I've
do for
inspired.
somebody, Crystal? What does makeup really do for somebody? Is it really about skincare?
It gives them confidence.
What does that mean for someone's life?
For me, it increases the ability of having a quality of life.
Job, spouse, confidence
Health.
in walking around, anything, right?
Right.
It's insurmountable. So what's the curriculum that you would walk somebody through whenever you're putting makeup on them?
I see what you're doing.
So you know what just happened right there, Crystal?
Yes.
Let me tell you, because I'm going to give you the vernacular for it. That's called an insight. And something that, let me tell you something that's very unique to an insight. You can't unsee it. I could tell you all day long.
I'm seeing.
Yeah. You can't unsee an insight. Now you've looked at it and you go, ba-ba-bing, ba-ba-bing, it's going off. When you're sitting down with somebody who's been struggling with their money and you ask questions and you lean in and you can understand their dreams and their goals that you're putting into a project that's unique to them. And all of a sudden they say, you know, I don't know if I can do that. And then you walk them through and then they show you about 5 other things that they go, well, I did that. And you go, so what are we doing here today? And they go, oh my gosh, I've been stuck for 30 years. Oh my gosh. That's the way coaching is supposed to work. If I say, turn to your book in chapter 3, no one's going to do that.
I wouldn't want to do that. So
exactly. So what you're going to do, remember the 3 things I talked about? You're going to listen, ask really good questions, and then I have to get out of my own way. And same thing for you. So how do you coach somebody? You ask really good questions, you listen, and you get out of your own way. By the way, you know, I wanted to say something too. You're also an extrovert. I'm an introvert, right? So we had 2 conflicting, you know, like personality types here.
Right.
That's okay. So there you go. Do you have any other questions?
That's really been my biggest setback, is just, I think, having that bit of confidence going into this, like where do I get started? And I think I'm good. I think I'm ready to get started.
Okay, well, cool. Well, I appreciate you being here with us. All right, guys, I'm going to take 2 more. We'll wrap it up. By the way, I told y'all, Ben, Ashton, and Brad on my team will follow up with you. They'll do one-to-one. They'll call you. They'll answer your questions. So we've got a lot of people that have their hand raised that we're not going to be able to get to. I want to get you guys back to work or back to your day. That email will come out. The recording will come out. All those things will come out so you can go back through and listen to it. And they can actually, again, Ben, Ashton, and Brad will do some help for you as well in there. So 2 more questions. We'll wrap it up. I'm going to do our giveaway. Carrie, what question do you have today?
Hi there. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. So I'm a young mom. I just transitioned from being a stay-at-home mom, and I went back to work. And I love your coaching. Actually, you guys taught me a lot about money and the importance of it, and balance it in. And, you know, just, it's not about always what you do, it's what you do with your money.
Yeah.
And I've gotten in a position where I'm going to either purchase or rent a house. But in that meantime, I wanted to know, what is the amount of money like you should be saving and putting back from your paycheck or for your money and such like that? Like, you know, saving where you're still able to budget, save, but still and spend at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you budget, you're going to put the saving inside of that. But what that looks like, Carrie, is what are you saving for? That's what drives that.
Yeah. Pretty much just for life. So I'll have money, you know, not have, like you said, not having money in your account. Something comes up. I want to always be where, hey, I need $500, or hey, I need this and this and this and that, where you're always able to provide that kind of money, you know, whether it's 5 to 1,000 or whatever the case may be, and still being a regular working person too with that.
Well, I'm a regular working person, right?
Yes, sir.
I just work and I make an income, and then you know, but your why and what you're saving for is what you lay out, Carrie. Once you lay that out, then that's when you start saving. The important thing that I would encourage you to do is to sit down with somebody, and it's not about percentages. That's not the way you do that. Now, with investing and stuff, you can look into percentages. But when you're talking about saving, it depends on what you're saving for, why you're saving, and how long that's going to take. And then what are you willing to do to make that happen? And, because if you get a return that comes in or a stimulus check that comes in, whatever it may be, that changes things for you. And so I would encourage you to sit down with a coach or sit down with somebody and talk about what that could look like, because why you do something is almost important. It is more important than how. There's a book on my desk right now by Viktor Frankl, A Man's Search for Meaning. He said, and this is a guy who lived 4 years in Auschwitz during the Holocaust. He said, if a man understands his why, he can endure any how. He said again, if a man can understand his why, he can endure any how. You got to find out your why. That's going to be the key. Last question here, and we'll get you back to your day and get that giveaway. Chris, what you got, man? What question do you have today? See if we can get you unmuted, Chris. It's okay if we can't. It's all right. Okay, I'm going to go to Elena. Elena, what question do you have? Hey.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yes. What question do you have?
Well, my question is, will in this course, will we learn about not only how to get out of debt, but how to save money, or to invest money, or at least to grow the money that we have after getting out of debt?
Well, the purpose of this course is to teach you how to coach. Whereas, if you want to learn about investing, I would check out the book Everyday Millionaires or Retire Inspired. Like if you're starting to focus on that, that would be the next step for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Good question. Since we had a financial question there, I'm going to do one more. So Adam, what question do you have, sir?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. First of all, thanks for this class and this opportunity. This is outstanding.
Thank you.
So I was curious. So what do you do, or how do you approach somebody who has a situation that you're not really familiar with or have experience with, such as bankruptcy or foreclosure?
Mm-hmm. Well, those are two lessons actually inside of FCMT. When somebody, and you're asking me, how would I approach somebody? Like, I know they have an issue, I want to go talk to them, or they're sharing with me this issue and go from there. Which one of those two?
I guess they have the issue and they're kind of sharing that and saying, hey, I'm dealing with this bankruptcy. What advice can you give me on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, number one, I don't want to give advice on it, right? I want to sit down with them and understand, how'd you get there? What are you doing right now? What's going on in their life, right? Most bankruptcies are because of medical debt. That's the number one cause. Or if I'm dealing with somebody with a foreclosure, why are they in that position right there? People who file bankruptcy, there's a high percentage of people who default on bankruptcy versus the amount of people who come back and do them again, and so there's a behavioral problem in there generally with money. Foreclosure could have been something else. Again, I understand medical debt and things, but I want to try to figure out where they are, what's going on with them, what type of bankruptcy they're in. And then just because you're in a bankruptcy doesn't mean you have the plague and you can't do anything. You actually still live life. And so now I'm going to sit down with them and talk about what we can do. And then how do we get out of this bankruptcy as fast as possible? And, the social stigma isn't there, but the psychological stigma for themselves is still there. And then it could be a litany of other things that they could be dealing with. So I want to sit down and figure out, okay, how do you walk back out of that? You're there, but how do we walk you through this now? Go back to Waldo Emerson's quote, inspire someone to be what they know they could be. Not there to take them to the principal's office, tell them everything they ever did wrong. Just want to understand, how do we correct your behavior here so we can get you going in the right direction? That's going to be very, very key.
Okay. I appreciate it. Yeah, that makes sense. That was one thing that I was always nervous about, is when talking to people is, well, if I don't have experience in a certain situation, how can I help somebody with those behaviors?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you say is, I don't have experience in that. Hence I'm taking this course. Hence I'm reading books and I'm going to get better. The state is not where you have to stay.
Of course.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Guys, y'all's question was amazing. And yes, we were tapping out with people trying to get into the webinar. And so, would love for you to be a part of this. Let me just say this one more time, that Ben, Ashton, and Brad on our team will be following up with you today, answering your questions. Guys, we have a ton of people that have their hand up that I'm not going to be able to get to today, just to save y'all some time back. We did record this. You can go back and listen to it. Here's your promo. Save 1,000 gives you $1,000 off the program, which is insane. It's normally $19.95. It's under $1,000 right now for $9.95. You get into Financial Coach Master Training. It's available through Sunday night at Sunday night the 10th, at 11:59 Central. Okay, make sure you remember that. So if you're on the West Coast or East Coast, it's going to be a little different for you. So make sure that you don't wait till the last minute on that. Okay. So again, guys, thank you so much for being a part of that. So here's my two winners. The first person to win Financial Coach Master Training, 1 year, full access, get all the cool stuff, the launch plan, client creation series, and they also can get 2 additional years access, like I mentioned. The first one is Michael Harbin. Michael Harbin is the winner of the first one, Michael Harbin. And then the second person to win Financial Coach Master Training, everything we just talked about there, is Tony Quintana. Tony Quintana. So Michael Harbin and Tony Quintana are the winners of Financial Coach Master Training. Guys, thank y'all so much. We look forward to having you be a part of the program. I see a lot of you guys saying, hey, I'm going to go sign up right now. So again, that's available until 500 enrollments or until Sunday night, 10,000 people on this webinar, folks. So don't miss out. Hope you have a good day. Thanks.